what inspired you to consider investigating this part of London and British history, and what would you say are the contemporary legacies and lessons to be learnt from this?
Well, in answer to the first part of the question, slavery has been an underestimated element in forming British society in the 19th and 20th century. You have to remember that the British involvement with slavery was immense, and that, for example, by the end of the 1820s, beginning of the 1830s, you were probably 700,000 to 750,000 slaves, enslaved people within the British Empire. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that the legacy of the slavery business, and I'll come to the question of slave ownership in a moment, the legacy of the slavery business has, we thought, been a key component in not only the nature of British society until the abolition of slavery in 1833, but subsequently. It carries on in all sorts of ways, which I'll come back to in just a moment. So the presupposition of the project was that this is a hugely important topic and a hugely underestimated topic. So apart from the empirical work of looking at slave ownership, which is the particular focus, we're not concerned with the whole question of slavery, but the specific question of slave ownership, then our presupposition was that this was important, that what we had to do was to look at actually who was benefiting from slave ownership at the point of compensation in the 1830s, and to some extent the subsequent generations of those individuals, those families, those companies have benefited. The question of legacies, which are the most important legacies? Well, they're all important. And one of the underpinning methods of this project has been that we can't separate out the economic, the political, the cultural, and so on. These things are intertwined. How they're intertwined is a complicated historical question. But we didn't want to say, oh well, the most important thing here is the question of the cultural legacies, as against the economic, or the other way around. And part of what inspires this is a feeling that a great deal of modern British history is fractured into these different elements. So you get people doing cultural history who don't pay any attention to economic history, and vice versa. And that applies to these other areas of the project as well.